What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls Podcast. Coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. My guys, Big Day, Bow. BAWL Sports, Will the Goat Gottlieb, Will_Gottlieb. And our guy on the controls, pound producer, Joey Spathis, at Joey Spathis. Happy Monday. Fresh week of Bulls coverage and fun starts today. And lo and behold, we actually have some Bulls news to talk about that happened over the weekend.
That's good stuff.
Oh, my goodness. Massive sweeping changes to the organization, as all Bulls fans want.
Mm-hmm. Got to start somewhere.
You have to. You pointed at Go like you were about to say something.
No, you didn't see what he did.
Oh, wait, no, the Home Alone face?
Yeah, that's why I pointed at Go.
I saw. Shout out Macaulay Culkin. But so we will talk about the Bulls.
Shout out on our show.
Assistant coaching hires that happened over the weekend. A couple of interesting names.
Yes.
What will it mean for the Bulls next season and beyond? Could it possibly mean that Dave's theory about Billy Donovan's exit strategy is coming to fruition?
You ought to hit me.
But before that, we wanted to talk about 2 Game 7s that we all, as Hoops Junkies, got to enjoy yesterday.
Yeah.
We saw 2 road victors in 2 Game 7s yesterday. The Pacers take down the Knicks. Final score, not that close, 130-109. The Knicks were making a bit of a comeback. Unfortunately, Brunson leaves near the end of the third quarter. Turns out he fractured his hand.
That sucks. And
that is just the final nail in a coffin for a Knicks team that, to their credit, fought really hard, fought tooth and nail.
But lost.
And lost. What a shame. I feel so bad for all those Knicks fans out there. Sad. No, I don't.
Sad.
Let's start with that one because I feel like Wolves Nuggets was a bit more dramatic. So Pacers Knicks, what was y'all's biggest takeaway from that game? Because to me it was the Pacers had a historically good shooting day.
Yeah.
They set the playoff record, not just for Game 7, the NBA playoff record for overall field goal percentage in a playoff game, shooting just over 67% from the field.
Man, that's incredible. My biggest takeaway is I don't have to watch John Starks anymore. That's my biggest
That's
takeaway.
a solid takeaway.
That's my takeaway. The joy I had and I felt knowing that he was sad and I don't have to look at his face.
It looked like
no
he was
more.
about to go out there and try to play 6-on-5.
Yeah, how doesn't that get curved?
I mean,
like the man is literally stepping on the floor and nobody's saying nothing, but it don't matter anymore because I don't have to look at it. He's sad. He's upset. They lost. Thank you, Indiana Pacers, for that. Good looking out. But yes, historically incredible shooting that they had. I mean, that train the Knicks were on was falling apart and it had to stop at some point in time because it was just falling. My gosh, it was spit, glue, and grease. It was what it was put together with, and it was bound to break down, and we saw it start to happen.
I think that's totally true, but I'm glad you guys started with the Pacers because it seemed like just watching the broadcast and the discussion afterwards was all about the Knicks fell apart.
Sure.
And like that's true, but like the Pacers also had an insane game and an insanely great series. So,
sure.
like as fun as Game 7s are, they're typically really ugly because teams are really tense. It's hard to score efficiently, and the Pacers just like came in and blew the doors off and were incredible. I mean, you mentioned the shooting numbers, but it just felt like everybody made every shot.
I mean, they were like 22 of 27 at one point late in the first half. Like, they just didn't miss.
And doing it in the Garden, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, I don't know who was talking to Tyrese Halliburton, but shout out to you.
Whoever those Knicks fans were. There were a few of them.
But shout out to you.
You could see it on the broadcast. A few of them were standing up. They had courtside seats and jawing at Halliburton, and then he would just hit another three and hit another three and hit another three.
Took that personally, man, and I appreciate that very much.
With the exception of that run that the Knicks put together in the start of the third quarter, like that. He had like I think 8 straight points, like 2 threes and a layup or something in the first quarter. That was like it.
Yeah, yeah, he kicked it off, man.
And like Nesmith was insane. He was 8 of 8.
Nesmith was
Nembhard 8 for 12.
Huge.
TJ McConnell was 6 for 8. Like everybody was just going.
Turner 7 for 11.
Yeah, They did.
On a rough shooting night compared to most of his teammates. Siakam, 8 of 15 was the worst efficiency of their 5 starters.
I mean, they did what got them there. You know what I mean? You dance with the girl who brung you, basically. Their offense gets them to that point. They didn't try to be a defensive team. They gave 109 to the Knicks. Like, that Knicks team is not a 109-point scoring squad. At least that one isn't. Mm-hmm. So they didn't care about it. They just said, we're going to go score. And I mean the timely buckets. Because as you mentioned, the Knicks did stay the little comeback, as you kind of thought they would, because it's a Tom Thibodeau team. You're playing at home. You got all that energy.
Right.
You're going to make that move.
Shout out to the one-man show of DiVincenzo, who just refused to give up.
Yeah, man.
He was awesome.
I mean, what 9 of 15 he finished from the three-point line, tacked on a bunch of free throws in the fourth quarter to finish with a team-high 39, a game-high 39.
Yeah.
My goodness.
He played incredibly well. I don't know if it's a great thing that's Beasley in your team and scoring.
Right.
It might be an issue. But he did what they needed him to do.
Exactly. I mean, they had everybody out.
Yeah.
Like Bojan Bogdanovic.
Yeah.
He was out. Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson broke his hand.
OG tried.
OG tried to go and couldn't after 5 minutes. He was done. Josh Hart's dealing with the abdomen. Like they were just like completely eviscerated by injury.
Yeah. And okay, so speaking of that, I see Rex Smith in the comments here saying Tibbs is a problematic coach. Billy is still worse. Billy Donovan, overrated. Now everyone will admit Chris Finch is a better head coach. No one admitted that last year. Should have fired Billy last year. Okay, well, we're going to get to Billy when we're talking about the Bulls' assistant coaching hires later in today's show. But
Tibbs is definitely a better coach.
Let's start with the Tibbs is a problematic coach part, because that's what I wanted to address in this Knicks Pacers Game 7 combo, because I saw plenty of that. And plenty of it was coming from Bulls fans. Oh, here we go. Another Tibbs team that falls apart in the playoffs because of injuries. I think it is a lazy narrative. Look, OG Anunoby, who was a big midseason swing to get him into that team, was dealing with a muscle strain, and that is an injury that you can re-aggravate and make worse by pushing a player back on the court too soon. Most of the other injuries that happened to key players in the Knicks rotation were fluke injuries, or injuries that, in my opinion, are not because of a coach playing their guys too many minutes. I just do not see it that way. And players who rest notoriously also get hurt and miss playoff games. See Kawhi Leonard. See our old pal Jimmy Buckets, who loves load management in the regular season, taking his sweet time, maybe playing, maybe not, maybe playing at 30 or 40% in the regular season. He gets hurt in their their first round, or no, in their playing game.
Yeah,
over.
There's a difference between load management and playing them 48.
Yeah, I would say I agree that's a lazy narrative, but it's still a thing. Like it just.
How many people? How many people are yelling at Michael Malone right now about the number of minutes that Nuggets starters played, not only in the playoffs but all regular season long?
All of that is fact. Everything you're saying is fact. I'm not disagreeing with any of that. But damn, like every time, bro, like it's always. And I think you kind of look at those NBA surveys every single year that he is literally number one in about players who don't want to play for Tibbs. He's always number one. I think about the Joakim Noah interview I just looked at, where he was talking about Kyle Korver sitting in his car.
Yeah.
Like, goddamn, I don't want to go do this again. And talking about how insane he is. Like, you think about those things.
Did you also...
And it kind of happens to him
Did you
that
also
way.
listen to what Jalen Brunson himself said after the Game 7 loss?
Tibbs is awesome. And I heard what Hart said. He said he's coach of the year. I've never not made that argument. Like, Tibbs is an amazing coach. But damn.
Okay. So
it's kind
go
of
ahead, Will.
It's similar to like peak Russell Westbrook and the conversation about him, where it's like, yeah, well, he's inefficient and he turns the ball over a lot. And it's like, well, that's also what makes him great. Like he can get 30,
Correct.
10, and 10 and run an offense and get up and down in transition. And like, well, Steven Adams just boxes out other guys so Russ can get the rebound. It's like, okay, well, Russ still getting the rebound and pushing the ball. Like, you take the good with the bad.
Yeah.
Nobody's perfect. Everybody's got their flaws, but clearly there are some like really impressive strengths going on.
Sure.
Because you don't take teams that deep in the playoffs with 3 different teams built around completely different styles of players, evolve the style of play that you have offensively.
Right. And it's like, I think the Tibbs thing for Bulls fans, and I think most Bulls fans now at this point are like, hey, the Tibbs era was fun, but we're well past that. And all they like to do now is just nitpick Tibbs overcoaching and overplaying a different team. Do Bulls fans forget that the last time we had a relevant team that was in the conference semis
Was Tibbs.
Tibbs was our coach. I think it is getting the most out of your guys. People say, oh, Tibbs teams, they fall apart in the playoffs because they're too worn out and he plays them too hard. I see it as Tibbs being a coach who can get a ragtag group that's not talented enough on paper to win championships and make deep playoff runs to at least win their way out of the first round. Because that's what we saw. Think back to 2013 and Joakim playing on one foot. Was it Tibbs' fault that Luol Deng almost died of a spinal tap gone wrong? No. Was it Tibbs' fault that Nate Robinson was fighting a stomach bug in that series? Are Derrick Rose's knees Tom Thibodeau's fault? I'm sure some Bulls fans out there are ready to scream down my throat, he was in the game late in game one when they had a W. Cool. That is one minute little example.
Yeah.
You want to say this is all Tibbs' fault. He got the best out of ragtag groups and pushed them farther than they probably should have.
Always has, man.
Same thing with these Knicks.
Amazing coach.
And like he's
a great coach.
Like people talk about like
it happens to
that's
him.
just a fluke because they just try harder. That's a skill. Like that's part of what it takes to get there. And maybe you don't have as much talent, but if you try out execute and you out effort teams, like you have a chance.
Yeah, I'm sure he didn't want to play Josh Hart 48 minutes 4 straight games. You know what I mean? Like he didn't want to do that. He didn't have the right players behind him. Like again, Randall was out. You know what I mean? He didn't have Mitchell Robinson. You know what I mean? Is always out. Like he didn't have the right guys there that he wanted to play. It's just always hilarious that it comes down to him. And I told Matt this before the season. I said, wait till year 3. I said, when year 3 Tibbs, watch what happens.
Sure.
I was like, it's gonna happen. And it happened. Like, but it's just what happens with Tibbs. Again, not saying that means that he's a terrible coach. He's awesome. He's amazing. When he was here, I thought he was coaching the year like 4 out of those 5 years. Because he was winning with nothing. He was winning me, you, and Joey. Like, he was winning.
And DJ Augustine.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
In the comments
you know what I mean? Like, John Lucas III was out here killing cats. You know what I mean? Like, the dude can coach, but it's something there. And for me to ignore that, I can't ignore. It's something always there with him, dog. But Tibbs is a great coach. He's a great coach. Can't not say that.
It's true. Before we switch over to the West, let's take a quick look at this conference finals we have in the East matchup now. Celtics, who took care of their round 1 and round 2 opponents in 5 games, and still people are doubting them.
Yeah,
it's
their fault.
I think it's kind of valid to doubt whether or not this Celtics team is serious. I mean, when you look at it on paper, look, Boston and Indiana were 2 of the best, if not the 2 best offenses in the NBA this season.
Number 1 and number 2.
Boston was also elite defensively, and the Pacers were somewhere in the 20s defensively. Right. You look at that matchup and think Pacers are in for a huge underdog kind of fight. Celtics should probably handle this in 5, maybe 6 games, like their first 2 series.
Yeah.
I would not at all be surprised if this series goes 7. I would be more surprised if it's a Boston sweep than if it goes 7.
I completely agree with that. I have it going 6, but because of what we always see them do, they play down the competition all the time, dog, and it's annoying to sit there and watch somebody that you know is that great just play that mid against a team they don't need to. They lack this instinct to step on your neck. That I don't know why it's like that, but it's just like that with them. So. And they're in the conference finals every year. Nobody's saying they're not a great team. They're in the conference finals all the time. Like, go look at the list. Like, it's always them. Like, the past 4 or 5 years, it's been the Celtics, man. That's all. What's my man? I don't know why his name's sleeping in my mind right now.
Missoula?
No, Jaylen Brown's cohort.
Oh, Tatum.
Thank you. I don't know why Tatum, that's all he knows is going to conference championships since he's walked in the league. It's all he knows. So, but it's something there.
Only made it to the finals that one time, though.
One time, dog. But it's something there with them where they just say, we'll get them next time. And it's like, but dude, you could be up by 30 right now. And they just, I don't know. What
and those Celtics fans are like about ready to go insane if they don't finally get that. What is it, 18 that they're chasing? Banner number 18?
I believe so, yeah.
How do you see this, Will?
It really is crazy. I mean, they play with their food. I think you're right that they kind of lack this killer instinct. But like, could they easily win the championship this year? Absolutely. They have like a bye to the finals.
Yeah.
So like, absolutely. And they should. I'm not going to say it's like a failure if they don't. They are built that way. But like, for me with the Celtics, it's like, I'm going to have questions about you until you prove me wrong. Because we've seen it too many times now where they have had opportunities and let it go. I mean, when you come back against the Heat from down 0-3 and you go to a game 7 and you can't close out, like that's, I don't know. Like that's tough. And obviously losing the finals up 2-1, they've had just so many opportunities, and those teams have changed over the years. Like the Isaiah Thomas Celtics were one of those teams that Tatum went to the conference finals with. Yeah. The Gordon Hayward Kyrie Celtics were one of the teams that Jason Tatum went to the conference finals with. But like this group has more than enough to win a championship. Yes. They've dominated at the 10th, I believe, best net rating of all time this year. They are good enough to win a championship, but yet for some reason we're not pegging it.
And the fact that nobody has faith in them to just take care of the Pacers and make their way to the finals and maybe win finally with this Tatum Brown duo. No one is expecting them to just handle that without any problems, and I think it's valid that no one is expecting that.
Yeah, and I really was up when Tatum was sitting there talking about, I don't know, everybody thinks we're a super team and stuff like that. Bro, it ain't got nothing to do with that. It's y'all play down to competition. That's what people are talking about.
We also have like all-stars up and down the lineup. Dude. You've got the best cast of 3-and-D players who all of whom can get their own shot over anybody they want. Right. Porzingis' injury is a big deal here. Sure. And we should definitely address that because that changes the whole dynamic of how they play, their depth in the front court, their spacing, their three-point shooting, their ability to take advantage of mismatches in the post. That matters for sure. Yeah. But I mean, there's no reason why this should not be a 4 or 5 game series if you're Boston. And yet I think we all can agree that this is maybe a 6-game series.
Yeah. We got to take our first break, and then we'll come back and talk West. But real quick, let's just make some picks. Who you got? How many games?
Give me, like I said, Celtics in 6. So give me Celtics in 6.
I think I'm going to go Celtics in 5, but I feel like I'm maybe giving them too much credit.
Yeah. You know what? F it. Pacers in 7.
Wow.
They just proved that they can win a game 7 on the road. I never take the Celtics seriously because they don't take themselves seriously. F it. Pacers in 7.
F it.
How many people do you think last year had the Heat?
Yeah.
They were massive underdogs.
Yeah.
First round on. Yeah. Jeez.
You're right. But I'm saying, even after they did all of that, and the Celtics, I remember, were still minus 1,000 to win that series. Yeah. It was insane.
It's ridiculous that they lost. Yes, absolutely right.
It's wild. I believe Vegas odds, most places I've looked so far, have the most likely outcome Celtics in 5. Second most likely outcome right now, odds makers have as a Celtics sweep. More likely than Pacers pushing to 6.
Yeah. I mean, they're a 6 seed.
Does Vegas not know who the Celtics are?
But statistically, that probably makes sense.
Sure.
But, there's the element of knowing the history of it, knowing how this team performs. The injury obviously is a big deal. I just think the Pacers are not talented enough to overcome how good the Celtics are. Yeah. But I just also don't trust the Celtics.
Trust them,
don't trust them.
That's it.
All right, while we are sharing these words from our friends and sponsors, you know what to do, Bulls Nation. Hit that thumbs up button if you're watching along on YouTube, catching the replay. Also, make sure you subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. West Game 7, West Finals Preview, and Bulls assistant coaching hires on the other side. Dave, who do we have?
Ray. Chevy. That's how he rolls. Or when he wants to be fancy, Ray Chevrolet. Do you say Chevrolet or Chevrolet?
Chevrolet.
That's a joke. Calm down. I know, grammar police. I like that sort of sometimes. Make Ray Chevrolet your first draft pick. I saw this info come out. I said, I'm trying to do. Pick your first draft pick for your new Chevy this May at Ray Chevrolet. Visit our partner to shop their Memorial Day sales event going on all month long at Ray Chevy on Route 12 in Fox Lake and at RayChevrolet.com. As one of the top selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest, you'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Plus, you can find the perfect tailgate vehicle because right now you can get $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2024 Chevrolet Silverado. Or lease the new 2024 Chevy Trax for only $199 a month for 36 months. Or celebrate Memorial Day your way and shop over 125 of their vehicles priced under $20,000. And if you heard of Ray Chevrolet, then you've also heard of Ray's Price Promise that guarantees your next vehicle will be more affordable than ever with no price changes, no add-ons, no hidden fees, ever. That means the incredible prices that we are talking about right now, you can expect to see the very same when you shop at Ray Chevrolet in store or online. So shop the Memorial Day sales event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. Also, don't forget, free oil changes when you mention CHGO online or at the service center. You can get you a free oil change, ladies and gents. They've been serving the community since 1963. Ray Chevrolet and Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. Together, let's drive.
Ooh. You can also drive yourself to some fun and some money-making fun with Prize Picks. Yeah. Watching these NBA playoff games. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. The easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros, sharks, Tom Thibodeau minutes, because he's done with his season now. All you got to do is pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 different player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. I'm guessing if you picked more than on DiVincenzo's point line in Game 7, you did pretty well for yourself. We have 2 very fun conference finals matchups on deck. First one, Celtics-Pacers kicking off tomorrow night, Tuesday night. Check out also the fact that Prize Picks have these fun starred players and their feature. So watching these playoff games, the star player means more on Prize Picks. Keep an eye out for those star players on the board, and you could receive a 10% payout boost if that star player is in your winning lineup. Go download the Prize Picks app today. Download it and use promo code CHGO for a first-time deposit match up to $100. That's code CHGO for a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Boom. All right, guys. The defending champions have been eliminated.
Yeah.
That means for the 6th straight season,
6 of them things,
a different NBA champion will be crowned in about a month's time.
Crazy.
Game 7 was wild.
Yeah.
Tale of two halves. Denver's defense stifling, throwing all kinds of doubles that made Anthony Edwards really uncomfortable in the first half, and I think finished with 1 bucket, 2 free throws, 4 points, 1 of 7 in the first half. The occasional Towns bucket and a few others kept them in it. And a 15-point lead at half. Early in the third, the Nuggets pushed that to 20, I think, with a Jamal corner 3.
Yeah.
22, I believe.
And then Denver, who looked exhausted, even coming out to start that second half.
Yeah. Nope.
Joker played the whole first half.
Yeah.
They just let Minnesota hang around. They had a few empty possessions. Minnesota strung together some stops, some buckets. Ant started to find his groove a little bit in the third.
Rudy Gobert hit some free throws.
Gobert hit free throws. Gobert hit like a fall-away 20-foot miracle shot at the end of the shot clock. Nas Reed, Big Dave's favorite, comes in and plays big minutes after Towns picks up his 5th foul late midway through the 4th.
He was huge.
My gosh. We could talk about the Nuggets and what happens with them, but I feel like first and foremost, you have to credit that entire Minnesota team because they went and won a Game 7 on the road that not many people expected them to win.
No, you're absolutely right, man. And I don't think too many people had them. Like, you're playing at home, and you don't expect a home team, especially with them playing in that thin air, to get winded.
Especially the NBA champions.
Correct. You know what I mean? You expect them to be a little bit different, but this is a different NBA we're playing in. Like you said, 6 different times. We're going to have a new champion, man. This hasn't happened, they said, since 1974.
Yeah, the 74-75 season through the rest of the 70s.
Correct.
Last time that's happened.
Which is wild. So it's been that long. This is not a norm. You know what I mean? Like, they were just getting used to the 3-point line, for goodness sakes. So this is not the norm out here. And you have to give kudos on to Minnesota and how they played. That is some real championship mettle they showed in that second half. To be down as they were, and even in that third quarter, Denver came out, looking like, no, we're going to close this door on you guys, because that's what you expect championship teams to do. No, man, they fought the entire time. You got to give credit to Anthony Edwards, just how he inspires their team, just by the way he speaks and talks to them, just by his inspiration. But, man, Jaden McDaniels was awesome. Karl Anthony Towns was awesome, man. He exercised some demons from his career in that game, bro.
1,000%.
Like, I really liked how he played, bro. Like, some people had to shut up, talking about him today. You got to give him his props. But, yeah, man, like, they They beat them. Like, they truly beat them. It didn't feel like a fluke. They went to their house, and they beat the defending champs, man. You got to give them all kinds of praise.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say about that. You're absolutely right. Like, Ant didn't even play that well. I mean, he shot 6 of 24. He couldn't make a shot in the first half, 2 of 10 from 3, and yet he was facilitating. I thought he probably learned a lot about how to adapt and how to play against those really hard doubles that he was facing, because in the first half, he kind of just like got off the ball and then was like out of the play. Mm-hmm. And I felt like in the second half, he got himself back into plays. He got himself to the rim. And even though he wasn't efficient, like he was the driving force. He had a couple of really nice drives that led to kick-out threes for Jaden McDaniels.
Yeah, he had a couple of assists and a couple of hockey assists in that run that they made.
And then, like Cat, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley had a great game. Naz Reid was incredible when Cat got into foul trouble in that final stretch. Cat came back in after Gobert fouled out and had that putback dunk that basically sealed the game. Yeah. I mean, just up and down, incredibly gutsy performance from a Timberwolves team that did really feel like dead in the water when you're down 20 in the third quarter and you're in the champ's house, in their arena, in the thin air. Like, I mean, that was just an incredible performance.
The other thing I think about Ant specifically, who's justly gotten so much attention and adoration in this playoff run for Minnesota so far after an incredible season, is what he does defensively. Even on a night like last night when his first half offense, he just could not get it going, still being a borderline elite defensive player. Yeah. And like one play specifically that I remember, early mid fourth quarter, the Nuggets are trying to hang around after Minnesota had come back all the way and taken a lead, but it was like a 1 or 2 possession game. It was a high, 2-man Murray Joker pick and roll scenario. And you could just tell that Murray and Joker were both gassed. They had played most of the whole game, Joker specifically, and it was just sort of them going through the motions of a high screen and roll that they have done a million times. And Ant read that Jamal was a little bit lazy coming around Joker's screen, got his hand down on one of Jamal's dribbles, picked his pocket, took it the other way. Huge momentum swinging play that Ant created 2 easy points of offense from his defense.
Yeah, man, he was special with it, man. And their entire team, really, their defensive chemistry is just really outstanding on how they play off of each other. And also, big shout out to Mike Conley, man. I think he's a huge piece for that team coming off the bench.
He also had a huge steal in the fourth.
But he stabilizes them when he walks in off the bench, man. And he hits key threes for them all the time. Like, he has just been great. Even the game, remember the game they got their ass being blown out in, he didn't play. Yep. Mm-hmm. And once he came back, things were a little bit different, I should say, with him around, man. But he's a huge piece. I've always been a huge fan of his.
Yeah, and like one of the things that we've kind of lamented about the Bulls this year is that they can only really be one style of team. And with this Timberwolves group, like they have so many different ways that they can play with the 2 stretch bigs, with, Kyle Anderson at the 4 and one of the bigs in. You've just got like Jaden McDaniels can slide up to the 4. He can play the 3. He can guard ones. Like they're just so versatile. And I feel like they really needed every piece of who they were in order to get through this Nuggets team that can just be so overwhelmingly good. And then all of a sudden you've got the Nuggets and they're in this situation where like they're pressing. That foul that Aaron Gordon had after that turnover, just like dumb 5th foul late in the game.
And they were already in the penalty at that point.
Helped them extend the lead to 10 at that time. You just didn't really see the Nuggets pressed like that.
Yeah, true.
And I mean, credit to this Wolves team. They were just overwhelming physically. And then you had some individual, like incredible performances, of course. But like, I think the way that they built that group, I mean, part of the reason why like small ball has existed in the NBA is because you want to get like the most skill on the court as possible.
Yeah.
You have, a player who is traditionally more of a 3 who can dribble pass shoot sliding up to the 4. Now you can have another one of those dribble pass shoot guys slide back in at the 3, and maybe you get another one at the 5, and everybody can create offense. Everybody can keep the play alive, keep the advantage rolling. And, the Nuggets obviously do that really well, but now the Wolves have kind of done this thing where they've flipped that on its head, and they've said, yeah, we're going to get skill in the court, but we're also going to play huge.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. They were running at one point McDaniels, Naz Reid, Cat, and Gobert out there at the same time. It's like, what do you do against that? Because they're all so skilled and they can all dominate the game in their own way. And it's just really cool to kind of see them buck this trend of going smaller and skill based by doing it with size and still having that skill out there.
And I mean, from the Nuggets standpoint, I said all season long, like when the Nuggets are at their best, they're still the best team in the league, and nobody's beating them best of 7. No. The one thing all season that I was worried about, and I think a lot of people were worried about, not me, depth. And the fact that this was not as deep of a team as it was last season. And whether you're talking about depth as far as number in his Michael Malone's rotation and what he's comfortable with, and number of useful guys, or even the number of minutes of a shortened rotation that he's comfortable with. You look at their bench production last night when a lot of people were trying to blame at Jokic for looking tired in the second half. 34, 19, and 7, but yeah, it's Joker's fault. They got 5 points out of their Nuggets bench. Crazy. And then you can also immediately turn around and say, well, they only got 5 points from their Nuggets bench because Christian Brown got those 5 points on 1 of 3 in 20 minutes.
He did that in like the first
Bulls legend
quarter.
Justin Holiday was second highest in minutes off the bench with 9. Reggie Jackson, 5. Both of them scoreless.
And it was the starters too. Gordon, 2 of 5 for 4 points. MPJ, 7 points, 3 of 12 shooting,
Rough
1 of 6
series
on
for
threes.
MPJ.
Horrible
KCP,
series.
you thought there was maybe a third or fourth quarter, there was a stretch where Gordon hit a 3, and KCP comes off a pin-in and hits a free throw line area jump shot, and it's like, okay, here come the Nuggets.
Right.
That was it. They could not score. And so obviously Jokic can do whatever he wants on the court, but what he wants to do is be a facilitator and get guys open threes.
Absolutely right.
And you put them in a situation where Jokic and Murray have to do everything, and they just smother you. It's it's a tough recipe to break.
See, I think the whole, as I said, how huge Conley was for them, Michael Porter Jr. and how he played is, for me, I'm not trying to put everything on him. I'm not. But he was such a huge piece, man. When they're going, and when Murray and Joker are going, they're going to get theirs. Mm-hmm. You still need that third. And if you looked at it last year, he was always that third guy. He was always hitting those big threes, always just hitting those incredible shots, can create his own shot. You really can't deal with this dude because of his size. There's really no defense for him. But he struggled a lot. And I think, and I don't know this, but I think, I'm just saying it because this is just how I felt. I thought the things that were happening with his family was really, really affecting him mentally, bro. To have 3 of your brothers go down with stuff like that, you know what I mean? That's going to affect you some kind of way. And I just felt like it bothered him in this playoffs, man. It wasn't just this series. It was this playoffs. Yeah. He did not have a great playoffs at all, man. So, but he was huge. He was a huge piece for them. Aaron Gordon carried them a few times. He did what he could, but
and you feel like you can't ask Gordon to be producing 15 to 20 points for you because he does so many other things for you every night.
Correct. And I always felt like that was one of their strengths is whatever Joker does, they had 3 other people who could get you 30. Yeah. And 2 of them can get you 40. When I'm talking about Murray and I'm talking about Michael Porter Jr. Yeah. He didn't do either. You know what I mean? You're going to struggle, when that dude can't come through and do those things.
But, yeah, I mean, you think about some of the other pieces that you thought they might be able to use. Zeke Naji was a ghost for the Nuggets down the stretch this season. Yeah. Peyton Watson, they had high hopes for him. Yeah. He fell out of Malone's rotation, did not trust him. Just a very short-handed team that best, starting fives, they still might have the best starting 5 in the NBA, but they were gassed in that second half. And Minnesota took advantage of it. Yeah. Credit to them. All right, real quick, Wolves, Mavs, fascinated by this series. Individual matchups, I think, is going to be crazy. Yeah. Specifically, who do the Mavs try to hide Luka on defensively? Yeah. Because if maybe that answer is Jaden McDaniels, are we going to get the Jaden McDaniels that just dropped 23 points in a Game 7 on the road? Right.
Because it might be Gobert.
Might be Gobert? I mean, that's one example of a bunch of different matchups that could be fascinating as far as how this series is going to go.
No, true indeed. It's a lot of possibilities, man. Who do I take? You know what? The whole time, I've picked against Dallas. Yeah? And on purpose. Because I was like, I don't want to pick because they keep winning. I was like, nope, I'm going to keep picking against them. I'm not going to pick them because, I want my man Sabine to, get to the finals. Yeah. But I'm going to do that again this time. I'm going to pick against them again, and I'm going to say Minnesota in 6. But I am rooting for Dallas. That is who I'm for.
I feel like, this one's just so tough for me. I could really see it going either way. The way that I'm kind of thinking about it right now, though, is I'm still not positive I trust the Timberwolves offense in a half-court setting. They scored 98 points and were able to win because their defense has been so good. Yeah,
but the surge of the Mavs defense at the back end of the season has been no joke.
Defense has been really good. Kyrie's defended well. You can't really hide him as much. But I also just think like I trust Luka's offense a little bit more, and I feel like that's kind of what it's going to come down to. I just don't think you can stop Luka. And then even if you double him, like Kyrie has just been so incredible. The role players have played really well. I've just been loving this Timberwolves run, and like I think this is going 7. I really could see it going either way, but I'm just going to lean Luka's greatness on offense to kind of give them the slight edge.
I mean, yeah, I think we're all around the same boat. I picked Mavs to get out of their first round series against the Clippers. I picked them to lose to OKC in round 2.
Same.
So credit to them for proving me wrong there. I think it goes 7. And part of the reason I picked the Mavs to lose in round 2 is because I thought Luka was coming into that series significantly hobbled. And he did not look very healthy in parts of the first and second round series he played. I don't know what percentage of health we're going to see from Luka in these conference finals. If it's 100% Luka, then I could see him getting the edge on that, being maybe the biggest and best superstar, even over Anthony Edwards in that series. I think home court and what the Wolves showed us in these first 2 series, I'm going to lean Wolves in 7. I think it goes 7. I'm going to take Minnesota.
The other thing is, like, you're not going to be in a situation where Derrick Jones Jr. is getting you 22 points against this Timberwolves defense. Like, it's not going to happen. So I really, I just don't know. I'm so confused.
I mean, cannot wait to see if DJJ can hold his own for stretches against Ant, because you assume that DJJ is going to draw a large portion of that matchup, that defensive assignment.
They're playing 3 power forwards too. I mean, Luka, power forward, 6'7" size. Derrick Jones has been a power forward. PJ Washington. I mean,
PJ Washington, man.
He's been outstanding. I do not have a good feel for this
two
series.
Bulls legends in the Western Conference Finals: Gafford and Derrick Jones Jr.
Derrick Jones Jr. Yep, sure is, man.
All right, let's take our second break right there, and then we will come back and spend the entire second half of the show talking about these Bulls assistant coaching hires that were made over the weekend. Big changes on the lakefront. Dave, who's next?
Joe, what time is it?
Get down.
Let's go. Young Spathis on top of things. It's what I like, Joey. It's what I like. Game Time is the authorized ticket marketplace of the NBA, which makes getting playoff tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to tip-off with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes that guesswork out of buying those tickets. They got those last-minute deals where you can save up to 60% off buying last-minute tickets for sports, concerts, comedy, and theater, and a bunch of other stuff that you can do. 60% off. That's pretty dang sexy. Save even more with the flash deals, those exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event, and of course the zone deals where you can save even more when you choose the section and let Game Time go ahead and do that selecting. They got the lowest price guarantee, y'all, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take the guesswork out of buying those NBA playoff tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use that code CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. I said CHGO. Get yourself $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guarantee. Because Matthew Peck, what time is it? Get out.
After game time, or before game time, or during game time, is any and all a great time to choose to have a chill mindset. Because between work, social media, stress of watching playoff games, even if it's not your team and you're just amped up and engaged with the drama of all of it, it's no wonder we can be worked up.
A little bit.
So to battle that, just tell yourself, you know what? I'm going to choose chill today. I'm going to choose chill mindset. After all the drama of those 2 Game 7s yesterday, I said, I'm going to chill. I'll let my brain kind of decompress a little bit. I'm going to reach for an ice cold Coors Light. When you choose chill, the next step, Coors Light. It's Mountain Cold Refreshment, y'all. They are brewed as cold as the Rockies. When the mountains turn blue on them bottles, them cans, you know that Coors Light inside is as cold as the Rockies themselves and ready to drink. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. When you embrace that chill mindset, like you should, the next thing you do, good time for cracking open a Coors Light.
Crack.
mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Rockies. And when you are settling in to watch these NBA Conference Finals series over the next week and change, maybe you don't really feel like making a run to the store. Maybe you already did your run to the store, but you forgot your Coors Lights. It's okay because you can get them delivered straight to your door in time for the game with Instacart. Go to CoorsLight.com/CHGO basketball. That's CoorsLight.com/CHGO basketball. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. All right, y'all. Let's talk about the Bulls news of the weekend. Ow! AK promised change, and by God, here's some change. After the dismissal of Chris Fleming, the news that Mo Cheeks is going to take a step back from Billy's bench and take a smaller role while remaining with the Bulls, and Josh Longstaff taking a promotion of a job to go to the Charlotte Hornets, we got a couple of Woj bombs over the weekend. First, Wes Unseld Jr. has agreed to join the Bulls as Billy Donovan's top assistant coach. Unseld Jr. spent the past 2+ seasons as a Wizards head coach. He was relieved of his duties midseason after 6 years on Micah Malone's staff in Denver. A little bit of an AK connection there. Wink, wink. Wes Unseld Jr. has also had stops with the Orlando Magic from 12 to 15, the Warriors for the 11-12 season, and an earlier stint with the Wizards from 05 to 2011. Other interesting wrinkle to this is that Bulls fans might recall it was reported by multiple outlets that Wes Unseld Jr. was among the top candidates interviewing for the Bulls head coaching job after the new front office came in, waited until the last day of the regular season politely, and told the bald-headed menace to get the F out. Get out! Then, Billy Donovan suddenly and perhaps unexpectedly became available. He was the top choice. They go with him over Wes Unseld Jr. Y'all's thoughts on Wes Unseld before we get to the second assistant coach news of the day?
I mean, yeah, I always thought Wes Unseld Jr. was a good coach. Obviously, you look at his record and it's not proven in that sense, but then you look at the team that he was coaching.
It's his fault the Wizards have been so bad.
I was having that argument literally on Twitter with someone. They were like, I don't know, that 37% winning percentage that he had doesn't.
I mean, they were trying to be bad.
Yeah, but I was like, dude, Billy's was 60% before he got here. Like, what are we talking about? You know what I mean? Like,
is it because he had Kevin Durant for some of that, and then Russell Westbrook, and
might be a thing. You know what
Chris
I mean?
Paul?
Well, he put together college, the back-to-back champions in college. Yeah. But yeah, he had talent, and talent helps a coach, ladies and gents. You can't win this league without it. And like Will just said, they were trying to lose. They were not trying to win. Remember, he came in the very next year after Russell Westbrook left when they went to the playoffs for that first round. That was a really fun year for the Wizards. That really was, because Russell Westbrook was awesome. That was a really fun year. But he came in that next year and put up 2 37-win teams, which I thought was impressive with the team that he had out there, that he put up 2 37 wins seasons out there, man. But yeah, I don't see what's bad about him. I don't have anything bad to say about him. I just always have respect for him just as a coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think, there was clearly this push from what the reporting suggested that Billy wanted a guy with head coaching experience, and he got one. And so, like, to me, it always felt like a little bit weird that that's the direction they wanted to go, because it's like, if you're a head coach, why are you looking to now become an assistant in another situation? And, for whatever reason, Unseld decided he wanted to come to Chicago. And, he's been kind of praised as being an offensive-minded coach. I don't really feel like I have a good enough understanding of how his teams have performed or what he's done to directly influence how a team plays offensively to, like, really have a take on that. But that's kind of the reputation there. But to me, it's just kind of interesting that they went ahead and brought in a guy with that kind of experience. And I think, clearly there is a push to, like, bring people that are going to continue to, like, bring pedigree, to be respected, to have not just, like, these young up and coming, like, people that haven't necessarily had the opportunities yet. So he's bringing in, and same with Dan Craig, like, guys that have had a ton of experience working and playing and performing at high levels. And so to me, like, I don't really know how much this is going to impact the style of play. I mean, we've talked a lot about how there's only so much you can do stylistically if the roster is the same. And so to me, I'm not expecting much change from just this. There's going to have to be more roster turnover for me to have a sense of things actually changing. But to me, it's like, it's suggesting that, they're seriously still investing in this team performing and not taking a step back necessarily. Like, to me, this is like, these are guys you want to bring in to like continue on the push.
I agree. I do have conspiracy theories, but I'll
you do, and so do people in the comments. Peter and Anthony among them. I see those comments about what this might mean for Billy, and we will get to that. But just because you brought them up, let's knock out the other news and the details of that. Woj also reporting yesterday that the Clippers' assistant Dan Craig is also joining Billy's staff. Craig spent the past 4 years working with Ty Lue with those Clippers. The 4 years before that, he was with Eric Spoelstra on his bench in Miami. He will team, according to Woj, with Wes Unseld Jr. as the top assistants for Chicago and Billy Donovan. So it sounds like they are getting promoted ahead of maybe certain other people on Billy's bench that are still there, say John Bryant, who we are also learned is moving up to the front of the bench as opposed to a more minor assistant coaching role, the guy who's been coaching their summer league teams for the past couple of years. Interesting note, and somebody in the comments was just talking about it, Adrian talking about eerie similarities between Dan Craig, his career arc, and Eric Spoelstra, his former boss, because you know where he got his start, because it was in the Miami Heat film room.
Right.
In 2004, the 2003-2004 season, he took a job as an intern in the Miami Heat's video department. He got promoted steadily through that time and making his way to an assistant on the Heat's coaching bench from 2012 to 2015. So he was on that Heat staff when they won those two titles with LeBron and the Heatles in 12 and 13. He then got another promotion, if you want to call it that, and was the Heat's G League coach for a season. Okay. And in that 15-16 season, back when it was actually the D League and not the G League yet, he was the D League Coach of the Year and coached the Sioux Falls Skyforce, which, by the way, shout out, great D League name as far as city and team name,
like Power Rangers,
to the D League championship that season.
Well done.
So the dude clearly knows how to coach winning basketball and has that Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, Heat film room pedigree that a lot of Bulls fans are jealous of and drool over.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right. I mean, looking at his resume, just like Wes Unseld Jr., it's a good hire. You know what I mean? And I think Will kind of hit it on the head. This isn't the guy who you hire where you're like, hey, we're breaking everything down and we're rebuilding this. That sounds like, no, I'm just want to keep moving on and moving forward what you're trying to do, whatever that is that the Bulls are trying to do. So, but I do have another theory, and I'm just saving it. But yeah, man, like just looking at his resume and looking at what he has come from, like it's just been nothing but winning and playoffs for him. And that can't be a bad thing.
Yeah. And again, it's really hard to like decipher who impacts what on an assistant coaching staff, even like a head coaching staff. Again, like there's only so much you can do with the personnel. And you've seen coaches get really creative. You've seen coaches be kind of handcuffed a little bit by who their personnel is. So it's really hard to say what kind of an impact he's going to have, but obviously comes with a ton of respect and adoration around the league, has coached alongside some really high-level names, has been in some high-level situations, as you mentioned, Matt. So I think this is a good thing. They need to, like I said this before, you know, if you are an NBA team and you want to compete at the highest level, like you got to get the guys who are at that level in their position. Like if you want to have the best team in the league, you can't have the 25th best point guard and the 25th best shooting guard and the 30th. You got to have like the top 5 guys. Yeah. And I think the same is true with coaches. I think it's true with the front office too, but like, why not go out and be on the cutting edge of something? Go out and get the highest level people that fit their role that you can find. And it seems like that's kind of what they're going for.
Shout out to Devin in the comments who said, good to see Dan Craig take on his most daunting challenge yet after being Bond. I did not realize that there was a little Daniel Craig, the actor.
Craig, well done.
Is he still making Bond movies?
No, this is the last one.
He's done?
Yeah, last one, man.
And then they were going to have Idris Elba take over the role, and then they screwed it up.
That happened. That was never going to be a thing, ever. I wanted money because of that.
I wanted it to be a thing.
And we all did, because we're logical human beings.
You would be such a good Bond.
We're logical humans,
My God. Oh, man.
My man said he was too street. Idris Elba.
I mean, maybe like a role that he could have taken that like surpassed Stringer Bell, which like I know is saying a lot.
No,
it's like one of the most iconic TV characters of all time.
Dude, Bond
but if he took Bond and crushed it,
it would have made $1 gajillion. Like I promise you, it would have made so much money. But come on, we all know why.
Okay, so in the comments, Peter Messiah asking, are they kicking Billy Donovan not to the curb, up to the front office? And Anthony saying these two hires might mean if the Bulls start off bad or they don't show enough improvement, maybe an in-season Billy firing by AK. Maybe Wes Unseld was told something under the table, question mark. Maybe we're getting closer to Big Dave, your conspiracy theory.
Let's go.
Look, okay, as far as the kicking Billy Donovan up to the front office thing, I hadn't even considered that until I just read that comment.
Yeah.
We also know that Eversley might be doing some interviews with some other teams that have front office openings right now.
Man. Come on in the water. Come on in the conspiracy waters.
All right, you know what? Fine. Dave, take it away.
Splash. Ladies and gents, let me get my Windhurst fingers going. So, Wes Unseld Jr. I found interesting because he left a front office position.
Can we zoom in on Dave for this?
A front office position to be an assistant coach of the Chicago Bulls. Why would someone want to do that? When you're in the front office and you're chilling, check out my man. Check out this guy. Why would you do that? Why would you just up your comfy front office chair and say, I get it if you said I'm going to be a head coach. Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah. Like, yeah, okay, leave your front office to advance. This is like going backwards. No, I believe this front office position to be an assistant on the Bulls team. You could have stayed there and said, hey, I want to be an assistant on Washington again. They probably would have gave it to you because it's Washington. That's really interesting to me. The other one with Mr. Craig. Why would you leave? What is that? A winning team like the Clippers to come be an assistant for the Bulls?
The Bulls.
That doesn't make any sense to me. I can't understand it. Did you say, I get it when his coach is like, hey, Charlotte, San Antonio, you're just moving down that line, down that trail. Okay. Heat, Clippers, Bulls.
Which job are you taking? Because the Bulls are third on that list for me.
That's why I said it in that order. That doesn't make any sense to me. So for me, it feels like some exit strategy going on. Because I don't think Arturos will ever fire Billy Donovan. I'm sorry. I just don't believe that's the case. Billy is going to have to be the one to pull that trigger and say, either I'm retiring or I'm going to take this front office position, which I'd never considered, but I appreciate you putting more gasoline on that conspiracy fire with me.
There you go.
But it's so interesting to me. Like that, it just I'm trying to find the logic in it, and I don't see it yet. So I'm just going to stay in my conspiracy waters right now.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm not saying that that's like not possible because it's obviously that's on the list of potential options, I guess. But to me, like, you know, I think all these guys are ultimately angling for their own head coaching jobs. And when you see a situation where, you know, Billy's got 2 years left on his contract, the team has underperformed. Yeah, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that, you know, they might come in and then think that they could be the next in line.
Yeah.
For a much bigger team. I mean, you know, the Clippers, they're a winning team. They're a better team than the Bulls, but it's like little brother in LA. They're not the big market group there. Same with obviously the Wizards. So this, I do think it's just a bigger opportunity, and that's kind of why you want to stay in the game. They probably also got paid a lot of money to come do it. So like that's a piece of it too. To me, I don't necessarily think that they are setting anything up for Billy. I certainly don't think Billy is like setting it up for him to step away, because I just don't think coaches would think about that. Like, to me, once you're gone, if you get fired or you step away, like, that's not your problem anymore. Like, why would I care what happens with the Bulls if I'm Billy Donovan and I quit or I get fired? But yeah, from AK's perspective, like, you want to have guys that can step in and be a good interim coach, so you don't have to go through the coaching search during the season. You know, there's a level of like continuity within the coaching staff that somebody can step right into that role who has experience and now kind of take over that position. So I don't think it's crazy. I don't necessarily think it's happening though, because I don't think the Bulls are going to pay Billy to go elsewhere.
No.
So they maybe a couple years away from that. But
yeah,
I think Arturos is just serious about making some changes, and I think he's pretty hamstrung with what he can do with the roster. And so he is resorting to the assistant coaching staff because, as you said, I don't see him firing Billy.
Yeah.
I don't see him making any big trades for Zach because I don't think anybody wants Zach. I don't see him letting DeMar walk because he loves DeMar and wants to keep DeMar and he wants to stay competitive. And so if you can't change your roster and you're not going to fire your coach, where do you go? Assistant coaching staff. Now that's why I think there has been this. I mean, assistant coaching staffs do not get this much attention from Adrian Wojnarowski. Like, it just doesn't happen. So I think.
So why are they getting it now?
Because I think AK's
during Game 7s of the NBA playoffs.
I think AK is giving Woj that information to make it seem like they are actively making adjustments and changes in their team.
But why would Woj be like,
as opposed to the Bulls' PR and front office's other go-to move, which is just doing a news dump when other bigger, more important NBA shit is happening because they know it's news no one's going to like.
Yeah, it's just so weird, Will. And he just took that front office position this year. Like,
I think so my thing with that, and this is maybe my own conspiracy of it, like, I don't think that is a promotion into the front office. I think that is a demotion out of head coaching without firing somebody.
Okay.
And let's just put you over here, keep you on the payroll.
Put you on the desk.
So we don't have to
catch you on the head a little bit.
And so he's like, I'm a coach. I don't want to be in the front office. I want to coach somewhere. So then he goes and finds another job. And now the team doesn't have to pay him to not be there anymore.
Okay.
Right?
No, I got you.
If he's still under contract but they fire him, they still have to pay him out.
Right.
But if he leaves and finds a new job, that's when the payouts stop. So now he left the job. Wizards are off the hook for paying him the rest of his salary, and he's in a position that he actually wants to be in.
Sure, but he could have taken an assistant coaching position on a bunch of really good teams as well.
Potentially,
But to choose it here, to come here to Chicago with that, was interesting to me. For me, I looked, and obviously it's not the same thing, because especially what you just said. But it's like, I thought of it like Brad Stevens moving up and taking that front office position and then saying, man, I'm going to go coach the Wizards. You know, like, for me, that's a step down.
But that was different. Like,
he
became the head decision maker in the front office.
Right.
I said that from the beginning. It's clearly different. It's clearly a different thing.
But yeah, to me, it's like, you know, I think a lot of times Steve Clifford just had this too with the Hornets. Like, he got promoted into the front office. I think he's just no longer their coach.
Yeah, and we've never heard anything about Billy wanting to be a front office NBA guy before. Maybe, but Brad Stevens let me do that.
Either. Right,
and then there was also the thing for a while that was like trendy, and then teams realized it didn't work because it was too much of a job for one job, which was like, I'm gonna be the coach and I'm gonna make basketball ops decisions.
Right. Yeah,
they tried it with Tibbs, it failed. They tried it with Doc, it failed.
Yes.
Like that's I think that is the way of the dodo. We're not going to see head coach / VP of basketball ops anymore,
it shouldn't be
or coach / GMs anymore. It's one or the other. And like, if Eversley leaves, then theoretically it is head coach to general manager, a promotion in Billy Donovan's eyes. Maybe not. If what he really wants to do is coach.
Yeah, I don't think
and not manage cap sheets.
I don't think Billy's trying to be in the front office.
Yeah.
Like he like, the rumor was that he did not like the recruiting element of college, and that's why he stopped doing it. So, like, I don't see him being involved in that situation. He loves coaching basketball.
Yeah.
He really does. And so, I'm not going to, like, say it's an impossibility. That's just my perspective on it.
I don't see it either.
I feel like he wants to stay in coaching. And the other thing is, like, we are so in the weeds with this team. We watch every single game. We cover every single game. We podcast every single day in the offseason. Just in case you guys don't know, you can find us here every single day, Monday through Friday. We're in this team so much that, like, I think sometimes it's hard to remember that, like, the reputation outside of, like, the kind of, like, treadmill of mediocrity thing that we are watching right now is, like, this is still the Chicago Bulls. And so people want to come gravitate towards that because it's a great organization.
Little
from
do they know.
Perspective. So that's, I think, why people like Wes Unseld and Dan Craig are like, okay, I'll go to the Chicago Bulls now, and that'll be a promotion from the LA Clippers for sure.
That is hilarious. That is hilariously flatly false.
I don't think it's
anyone paying attention to NBA basketball.
I don't think it's a better situation, but I think people outside might view it that way. I also wonder.
LA is a trash city, but that's the only upgrade that you get leaving the Clippers to come to the Bulls.
The one thing I don't like in this report, Woj said, Wes Unseld and Dan Craig are joining the Chicago Bulls coach Billy Donovan's staff as top assistant coaches. Like, the pecking order in that
trademark
is not defined to me. Like, are they both the number two?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's just
1A,
wrong.
1B, yeah.
But
assistant to the regional manager.
That's right.
whereas like later on in the report, he goes, Donovan is remaking his staff departure of Chris Fleming and after Josh Longstaff accepted a new job as second assistant. So there is like
an order,
a level of like a hierarchy there.
Yeah.
And yeah, both top assistants. I don't really know what that means or what to make of that. Maybe it's nothing, but it's not specific.
Oh, no, it's a thing. We're going to make it a thing, Will. This is summertime.
Dave, you have at least one believer in your conspiracy. Cameron in the comments saying, talk to him, Big Dave.
Hey, man. It just seems weird.
Tangy Marine saying, if this was any other franchise, Billy would have got fired. Pick. You're doing too much. He either would have been fired or would have gotten fired. Pick one. Try again. Tangy also saying, the Bulls front office has been sneaky, just like... Or they're being sneaky, just like when they gave Billy that secret extension.
Sneaky.
That is true. You know who also got secret extensions? The front office themselves.
Yes, it's true.
Rob thinks that AK asked some of these current Bulls players what they thought about these assistant hires before hiring them.
Interesting.
I don't know if I buy that.
I don't know either. Yeah. I don't know either. I don't think they surveyed some players.
It's because it's funny. Like, I think that their approach should be nobody on this roster is untouchable.
Yes.
You just lost in the play-in 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I don't get
you just had a 40-42 season followed by a 39-43 season.
Correct.
I don't think any of this is like as much of a mystery as people are making it out to be. Like AK and Billy and the whole front office, they got extensions after making the playoff one time.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what this organization cares about.
As a sliding and falling apart 6 seed who lost in 5.
So like that's the agenda. To me, like that's all it is. I think they just want to make the play-in and they want to make the playoffs.
We're stepping on people's fun.
Sorry.
AK,
Hate to tell you.
Shout out to AK, our pal, with a super chat.
Eat your vegetables.
$4.99 saying, looking forward to Bulls changes where Caruso or 6'4" guards are not playing power forward. So, okay, and that's the thing, and I think that's why a lot of Bulls fans were getting their jokes off this weekend, and rightfully so, about how, hey, AK promised change. Here's some change. We said goodbye to a couple assistants on Billy's staff. We brought in a couple new ones that have legitimate pedigree. You know, like Unseld Jr., as Billy reportedly wanted, head coaching experience.
Yeah.
Dan Craig, incredible come-up in the Miami Heat Riley Spo system. Legit started in the Heat film room where Spo started himself.
Go to the Bulls.
Those are nice. What Bulls fans wanted when they got to the end of this miserable, insufferable, godforsaken mediocrity hamster wheel season, part 3, was changing the head coaching chair. And more importantly, in my opinion, changing this goddamn roster that's broken and doesn't work. So I'm sorry. If the big changes that AK finally admitted needed to happen are new assistants under Billy, I am going to find a way to launch the Sears Tower with a trebuchet at the United Center, because that is bullshit.
That sounds impressive.
If that happens, you know who did it.
Yeah, seriously.
But look,
I'll turn myself in. Yeah. Bulls fans, y'all got my bail money?
you obviously put that in a way that only Matt Peck could.
Yeah.
But I don't disagree with it. Like, but this is also the beginning, right? This is teams aren't making trades yet. The draft hasn't happened. Free agency hasn't started. Like, they can't make roster
really
construction moves yet. And I'm not saying that they don't need to, because they definitely need to. But like, this is where they start. Is this enough? Absolutely not.
No.
Am I skeptical that they're actually going to do anything?
Sure.
Absolutely. But this is the start. And I guess we'll just have to see how it goes from there.
Sorry, Peck, you're gonna stay in. Yeah.
Are you talking about
no bailout.
Jail when I'm arrested?
That's exactly. He said no bailout. Sorry.
Or this inner torment and hell that I live in every day as a Bulls fan. Because I think I'm stuck there too.
Sounds like that would be a major. That would have been a major crime, and there's no bail for that if you launch the Sears Tower at the United Center.
First of all, the fact that
I almost guarantee
he's going to take is impressive. If he gets that, I might applaud him for coming up with that kind of money.
Applaud, but no bail money.
I'm imagining him.
Millions of dollars.
I'm imagining
you got your own damn bail money. What are you talking about?
He's a supervillain. He's climbing into this massive crane machine to launch the thing, and he's like,
money?
"Nah, you finally pushed me to do it this time, Jerry."
Let's see. Now's my chance.
They didn't think I would do it.
He'll just be dragged away screaming, sell the team! Sell the team!
Carlos A saying, "Oh, here comes Joey with the logic." Yeah,
It's a rare role for me to be playing on this show.
That's very
Talking
true.
about the guy that's got a troll as a brother, collects thumbs.
Yes,
it's good though. I appreciate the logic. You're right.
Will is very happy.
I needed to be sedated back into my seat for a second there. So Gio, we're about out of time, but Gio with our last comment saying, AK probably thinks with these assistant coaching changes, he can get more out of this roster. Running it back and forth time, you can bet on it. And that is my fear, and I think it's a lot of Bulls fans' fears, because the question of can a couple of different assistants under Billy actually implement different and better systems, offensive and defensive schemes, and styles of play with the same group of players? And I know that some Bulls fans think that answer is yes. And they were saying, all Billy does is chew gum. He's the worst coach in the league. Fire him. We should be getting better results out of this roster. And I was sitting here all season long saying, oh, Reginald, I disagree. So if Billy can't get much more than that out of these guys, what are two assistants under Billy going to do?
Nothing.
Correct.
And that's gonna.
But the other thing is, like, as we've talked about before, they can't just run it back. Like, they're not going to.
That part, they have no choice.
They have to make some changes. It's just a matter of how much.
Great.
And
do they don't want to pay that tax for a 9 seed.
Yeah.
Either way it go, Matt.
But like,
either way it go, we got to see some change.
I mean, because they're basically putting ownership in a position of like having to decide between making the play in and paying the tax.
Exactly.
Which do you choose?
Both? Can it be both? Cannot be both.
Excellent.
Next time, catch it.
It's another supervillain thing.
Yes.
Your precious tax or your playing game.
Yes.
There can only be one.
Can only be one.
And for each minute you take to decide, I shall kill a puppy.
Come buttons.
Before being chosen as a vice president running mate. All right, we're out of time. Oh my goodness. Back tomorrow, same time, same place, 4 p.m. Central. Well, not exact same place. I think we'll be back in Studio A tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in. Hit the like button on your way out. Hit the like button if you're watching the replay on YouTube. Make sure you also subscribe to CHGO Sports YouTube channel. And for all of you podcast listeners out there, if it's been a minute, go back and double check. Make sure you are subscribed and downloading all of our fresh episodes on your preferred podcast platform. If you have the time and you feel like it, leave us a review and a rating there too. We appreciate those as well. Goat is at Will_Gottlieb on the Twitter machine. Big Dave is at BAWL Sports. Our panel producer on the controls. He's a super chill dude. He's
a rascal.
He's a rascal.
He's
Super chill dude.
Just get in the way of my devious evil plans and plots with his logic. He is at Joey Spathis. His name is Joey Spathis. I am Bulls_Peg. We are CHGO_Bulls. Have a great Monday night. No playoff basketball, sadly. First time in a while. Got to wait until Tuesday night for game 1 of the East Finals. We will talk to you before that, 4 p.m. Central on Tuesday. See Red be good.
Love y'all.
Trebuchet.